Okay, do I really have to do the spoiler warning? I mean, I know we freak out about spoilers, but honestly, if you haven't seen episode 7 yet, why in the world are you watching a video about whether Rey is Luke's daughter? Go away, go watch the movie, come back. We'll see you in a bit. Alright, so we are going to talk a little bit about Star Wars theories. I am not doing this because I have some major insight into Star Wars theories. My wife is actually way more up to date on all this than I am, but we've had some good conversations and about it. And you know, as far as theories go, you know, mine is not unique, and so that tells me that I'm not totally crazy on it. But I wanted to do this mainly kind of to explain a little bit about how I come up with my theories on plots. And it has everything to do with me having read quite a few books and seen quite a few movies and written some stories myself, and absolutely nothing to do with what has gone on in the story up to that point in any realistic sense. So, as an example, I'm generally pretty good about guessing the murderer in Agatha Christie stories. And the reason I can guess the murderer in Agatha Christie stories is because I know something about her style. And you cannot guess an Agatha Christie murder from the clues that are presented in the book, because there are so many secret identities and clues that are not told to the narrator that it's just simply impossible. However, if you've read a few of her things, and this is true in with mysteries in general, but generally in a story, the murderer is the person that we have somehow been convinced to forget. And so a good mystery writer will put the murderer in the background, kind of give you enough story where you dismiss that person, and then undermine that story and bring it back, and that's the murder in a convincing way. And by the way, this is why I'm very, very good at guessing the murderers in Agatha Christie books, but I would be horrible as an actual detective, because you know, so often the murderer is the person that's closest to the victim, and I would be sitting there going, well, that person in the back has been suspiciously quiet. And, you know, that would be like, you know, one of the cops investigating the crime and stuff. But that would make total sense in a murder mystery novel, and not a lot of sense in actual real life. So this is how I approach the question of Rey and her relationship with Luke. First of all, we've had enough clues drop that Rey is Luke's daughter that at this point that seems like the obvious choice. However, we've now waited too long for that to be a satisfactory choice by itself. And this is what I mean. The bigger the surprise, the longer you can wait to reveal it in a story. But if something's like totally obvious, or at least heavily hinted at, if you wait a long time to reveal that, it loses its impact. So we see this all the time in sitcoms, where in the first season of the sitcom, you know, there's kind of a tension between these two characters, and we know that they're going to end up together, but it's just a matter of time, and the timing of it. Oh, the girl's got a boyfriend, and oh, but she dumps him, but now he's got a girlfriend, and it just goes back and forth for a season, and so that's really interesting. But then when we get into season 2, it's starting to get old. And then we get into season 3, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is annoying. really, guys, just get together already. This is not working whatsoever. Which brings us back to Rey. So at this point, it looks pretty clear that Rey is Luke's daughter. But we've now waited to at least the second movie, to explain their relationship. And so if it really is simply that Rey is Luke's daughter at this point, I think it's going to lack the punch that we really want out of that revelation. So there's got to be something more to it. Now, I'm fully on board with Rey being a Skywalker. And the reason for that is, if Rey's not a Skywalker, then the saga has now shifted. Whereas we've, for 6 movies now, been dealing with the Skywalker family, to shift it to someone else now is going to feel very weird. It's kind of like, you're reading this novel and 2/3 of the way through the book, the point of view just changes. And it's kind of awkward. You can change point of view at the beginning of the book, or you can not change point of view, but to change point of view that late is very awkward. And we should also be clear about this. Space opera is not about the goings-on of the universe. The space opera is about people. And so, yes, Star Wars is about this war in the stars, but it's really about the Skywalkers. It's really about this group of people in this situation, and how they react and how they grow. And so I'm pretty convinced at this point that she is a Skywalker. And it wouldn't fit as well together if she is Han and Leia's daughter as Luke's daughter. But I feel also like we've got to have something more of a punch to the surprise for it to really work. So, which brings me to what I think is actually going on. So I think 25 years before Episode 7, Luke is starting to deal with Ben. He's, engaged in his Jedi Academy. He's got this new generation going up, and he somehow figures out about Snoke's existence. Now, who Snoke is, I would much prefer Snoke to have a history. Whether he's Plagueis or not, I don't know. I think that would be pretty satisfactory. And I know y'all are about to put all the comments about, Andy Serkis's interview that it's not Plagueis, and I really don't care. This is a J.J. Abrams film. I think we all remember, the interviews that Benedict Cumberbatch is not Khan. Also, we should not confuse Darth Plagueis with Darth Pelagius, who is more of a theological Sith, and who got punched by Santa Claus in real life. Which, if you don't know that story, you totally need to look that up. So, Luke, at this point, is getting an idea of who Snoke is and his power. And he's looking at where he is and realizing this isn't going to work. I don't have the raw talent and power here to face him. And he might already be getting a hint that, boy, Ben's on the fence, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to pull him on this side of that fence. And so, somewhere in his studies and his wanderings, he learns the secret that Plagueis himself figured out generations ago on how to use the Force to create life. And that is Rey. So Rey is in essence the new Anakin. So all in all, that's going to have the satisfactory ending of Rey is Luke's daughter, but also have the the surprise punch that we're going to want, that, Luke, I am your father moment that we're all going to be looking for in episode 8. But we're going to have to wait a year and a half to find out. Which, all in all, is not that bad. Let's be honest, we thought we were going to have these spaced 3 years apart, and for them to have a 2017 release date on episode 8 has me pretty pumped already. I feel like, I'm in the middle of waiting in between, the episodes of Lord of the Rings. Just that kind of year-long excitement that doesn't really let down. I really thought in all the hype coming up to episode 7 that I was just going to get burned out on it, and I totally did not, and I'm not going to get burned out on Star Wars anytime soon. I have a few more things to say that I want to say about Star Wars, so please hit the subscribe button. We'll keep talking about a little bit. We also have a bunch more nerdy things happening in this year, and so we're going to want to keep talking about that as well. All right, y'all take care. Pretty sure I'm looking like a horror film villain right now.